the top
7 by 3/10 was it, and the top 4 by
7 by
900 or something.
.27. In the
crazy.
top 4, 311 to 397.
Yeah, so 900.
So 9 100s just to have that. And welcome back, everybody. Hope you had an opportunity to get up, grab something else to drink, make a pit stop of your own. But we're right back and at it here with our call for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix at Utah Motorsports Campus, presented by EnergySolutions. And we are coming right at you here with the 14th round of the GTS Championship that is set to unfold here, and wasting no time getting ready to bring it to you. The interesting thing here, Cal, is you take a look at how intensely close this qualifying was. This race promises to be absolutely something. I mean, the margins at the front, just nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I kept looking at these times appearing in the qualifying session this morning, and it was just remarkable. 4 drivers on the 157.3 range and separated by a mere 900ths of a second, actually just a tick less than that. So it's incredibly tight. Top 7 separated by just over a quarter of a second. So expect the same thing in the race today. Some brilliant performances there. Scott Hecker on the pole, of course. Parker Chase, Harry Gottsacker inside the top 4. Scott Dollarhite continues to impress in that Lotus. And, on down the line, Mantella, inside the top 7, just 2 or 3 tenths off the pole. So great performances throughout this field. Let's see how they behave once we get the green flag here this afternoon.
Well, that's really the big story, isn't it? Here's the other one. Brett Sandberg comes in here with only a 22-point lead. Well, he doesn't get the pole, so you're thinking, oh, that's not a good sign. But for him, the guy who's chasing him, Lawson Aschenbach, could only muster a 10th place qualifying effort, and that's just a matter of the GT4 cars versus the GTS rule cars. They make their speed differently here, and apparently those big V8s just struggling here a little bit.
They are. I spoke to Lawson a couple of hours ago, and he just said this is a tough one. He said everyone else is kind of getting their act together. Yes, we're in the hunt for the championship. We've had victories, but he said on paper and, the performance of the cars, he said, suddenly I don't have any advantage anywhere.
Yep.
So we talk about his racecraft every weekend in terms of how savvy he is, but he's got a big hole today because, he's 22 points behind in this championship. The guy he's chasing, Sandberg, starts 5th. Expect Sandberg to get in the mix there.
Yep.
And be fighting for at least a podium, maybe even a win by the end of the day. It's going to be damage control for Lawson Aschenbach.
Well, I think what really puts it into perspective, Lawson Aschenbach this year, you talked about 4 wins, 2 seconds. Pretty impressive stuff. But by the stats that measure speed, he's got 1 pole. You take a look at Brett Sandberg, only 2 wins, 4 seconds, so obviously you can see where those are playing out, but 7 poles and 7 fast laps. That kind of tells you the story.
It is, but when you look at victories,
yeah,
he's a little shy there. So
yeah.
That's the racecraft, and that's the dynamic of the GTS category for this year. Sandberg has been incredibly quick. There's been a few bumps and bruises along the way. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, for example, when both of them got taken out with the closeness of the competition. So it's been a fascinating battle, and I think it's going to go right down to the wire. It's now going to be a triple header in the final venue at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. So one thing's for sure, we're going to go to Laguna, not knowing who's the champion, and it'll be decided on that weekend.
Yeah, that is just going to be wide open. And, of course, a name that was with us for the first few events of the season that had to take a bit of a hiatus, Dora Chapanik is back, and we know he's got some speed. He actually set one of the pole, had a little tech infraction, but has shown some great speed. He's back, not quite knocking the rust off yet outside of the top 10 in that qualifying. But the other story here is Parker Chase, Cal, comes in 3rd in the points championship, but he hasn't been able in the late races here to match the pace of the others. That may have changed because they got a hold of the Ginetta factory and said, Performance Motorsports Group, and said, can you send over your factory guy here just to run these cars here a little bit, give us some setup information. And, boy, has it turned around, both Parker and Harry.
They've both been really fast this weekend, so maybe they were just missing something a little bit with the setup.
Yep.
I believe it was Michael Simpson who was over from the UK, and he was tweeting on his way to the airport saying job sorted when he saw his 2 boys at the top of the timesheets for the final practice yesterday. So, yes, we've been talking about it all year. The Ginetta has shown promise, and then they seem to lose their way a little bit. They kept hanging in there with the problems for Sandberg and Aschenbach, but certainly for Parker Chase, he needs the big points today.
And let's not forget here, Anthony Mantella, Martin Barkey qualifying 6th and 7th, both in the 157.5 range. Mantella up front of Martin, and you never know. They could play a serious role in this one, too. They've been racy.
They have, and it's a testimony to that team that they're only a 10th back from our championship leader, Brett Sandberg. So, I mean, these guys are just gaining confidence with that crossbow chassis, the platform. It gives them the stability to really keep pushing the envelope, finding the grip, and moving forward.
And let's get down to Jeff Lepper for that command. I think it's Orazio Mastraccio for Pirelli.
Absolutely, for the Pirelli Tires North America, the motorsports manager.
From our partners, EnergySolutions, Optimal Batteries, and Pirelli, drivers, start your engines.
And there's the command, Orazio, one of the great guys in the paddock, and they work so hard, these Pirelli tire people, and not just providing these tires, but making sure that they work with the cars and the teams and they're engineered well. So we are ready to go racing here. And again, this is round 14. Normally it would be 15 and 16, but if you remember at Mid-Ohio, the first of those double headers ended up being postponed because of the rain. It will be run at the season finale at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. So we're off count just a little bit, but it's not going to affect anything. This racing is just going to be off the hook, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be a great one. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, again, we saw in the GT race just a little bit earlier that it can't go wrong down in turn one because there's the big funneling effect. It allows you to just sprint down that front straightaway, get to our stop tech brake zone, and then try and sort it out. So you've got to give each other a little bit of racing room, and hopefully these guys will do it today.
I'm guessing everybody at the front of this field may have bent those mirrors out just a little bit so that they really have a better field of vision down there because that straight is so wide.
It is. I mean, if you have the ability, maybe even having a spotter down at the end of the racetrack, just giving you a heads up as to what's going on, because it certainly had an effect on the GT race with major consequences.
And there is our Cadillac ATS VR pace car, the official pace vehicle of the Pirelli World Challenge. And again, a big thanks to the folks at Cadillac. And of course, as always, at the back of the field, also courtesy of Cadillac, is the Escalade, which you'll see in a moment, which is our official medical response vehicle with the Pirelli World Challenge Cadillac safety team on board. Nice to know that. That car that's on pole in the hands of Scott Heckert here, a 157.311. That's 93.5 miles an hour for an average speed, Cal. That car ran a little while ago in that Sprint X race with Heckert behind the wheel, sharing with Chris Beaufait. So Heckert's got a little bit of track knowledge today that certainly can't hurt, but it's a lot hotter out than it was. I mean, conditions have changed. There's been racing on it, dust on it. It's a whole different track, I think.
The good news is they had a bit of an issue with a sticking throttle, so they were able to rectify that. And Heckert brought the car home in the second position behind Derek DeBoer. But the good news was that sticking throttle could have happened in this race, which is obviously the very important one in terms of their championship charge.
And there is our official safety vehicle, the Cadillac Escalade that I was alluding to. That's a good place for them to just be able to relax and watch the race. But the nice thing is, if they're needed, they have a great vehicle to make that response. So now it's all about getting ready here. And, of course, doubleheader. That means this race will be a rolling start. And so we'll watch for the lights to go out on the pace car. And that usually happens right about when they come out of this next sequence of corners. You're going through witchcraft here, decreasing radius, quick entry corner, and then up into this quick left, right, left that are the attitudes. And it's going to be interesting to see here. We know the prototypical level cars of GT4 can't get on those curbs, but you know, if needed, Stacy, Aschenbach, those guys, they might just be able to.
Yeah, they're definitely going to want to try and eat some of that curbing. It does save you a lot of time. You see Tony Cable's just having a little taste of it.
Yeah.
He had an issue in qualifying, unfortunately, so he's going to be riding shotgun here as we go to green.
Yeah, one thing he does better than almost anybody in the history of the series is pass cars. He loves to race. Not the greatest qualifier, he'll admit that, but man, does he race well. And lights out on the Cadillac pace car. So we're going to be going racing, as always, 50 minutes here for this 14th round of the championship. And, of course, they're going to be entering here in just a couple of seconds here the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. Last two corners here, wind up and release. And once you get into release, this banked final corner here, you're in that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. And as the pace car ducks in now, it's up to Scott Heckert and the flagman. And coming up on his shoulder, Parker Chase. You know he's hungry.
Yeah, Parker Chase is a really fierce little racer. He's going to try and look for some. Oh, big move there early. We're green. I think that was Vesko Kozarov. jumping out at the back of the pack.
And look at Dolehite right in the middle. He's trying to look to the inside of Gottsacker. And here comes Zach Sandberg making a nice move as well. But Dolehite trying to do something, and Barkey suddenly appears. He might just jump up, and Mantella trying to ramp the outside, Cal. He has gone into third from sixth.
Wow, what a great move by Anthony Mantella there. Scott Dolehite looked like he had a prime position. He suddenly got swarmed there. They went through the apex area. Loader's dropping a few positions. He's trying to recover right now. Oshibak, a good clean start.
He just gets the starts, doesn't he?
Up to six.
Yeah, from his 10th place.
And ahead of Sandberg.
Oh,
most
that's
importantly.
mega. Wow.
That is huge.
And Lawson going down inside of Gottsacker. No, that's Parker.
What a move. Into the top 5 on the opening lap. He's basically reversed. The 2 championship contenders have reversed positions. This Lawson he's fighting for it, trying to get that 5th position wrestled away. And Sandberg's down in about 10th. The opposite of where they qualified.
Yeah, and in this first dust-up here, Harry Gottsacker, an amazing start. 4th to 2nd. We just assumed that was Parker from the outside, or at least I did. No, that was Harry, who had a great move.
Scott Dolehite there having a good run. Gottsacker looking good. Mantella trying to put the pressure on. There you see that curbage that's being used through the attitudes by the Camaro in the background.
Curbage.
Curbage.
Like that, picking up some curbage. All right, here we go.
Oh, look at Mantella. He is on a charge. He is on fire there in the 3rd position right now.
And Dolehite looks to the inside of Parker. Can't quite get it done. And as, Parker running really wide.
See him have the grip right now. I'm not sure if he's been running wide for a couple of corners. Got to clean those tires off.
Yeah, and as Lawson tried to go around the outside of Parker, Dolehite took advantage and went right by Lawson. Now onto the front straight here. The top 4 cars, but then there's this battle here. Parker Chase, Dolehite, and Oshibak.
See that interesting dynamic off that final corner. Dolehite could slide it to the inside. Then you can't get the power down because you got the wheel cranked. And the guy on the outside takes the opportunity as Mantella looking for more on the inside of Harry Gottsacker there. Can't quite make it stick. His teammate Barkey in the 4th position.
One of the really cool things about this GT4 concept here is the variety of power plants in these. Ooh, big wiggle there by Dolehite and that Lotus as he is trying to stay in front. And look at, as you said, just eating some curb. And I mean, that's what Lawson's just going to have to do today. He has to shorten this track up as much as he can.
He does, and he's going to be looking in his rearview mirrors. Look at that Mantella down to the inside. Beautiful move down at the Black Rock hairpin. Takes 2nd position away from Gottsacker and nearly got to the inside of Hecker as well.
Well, I'll tell you, Mantella has just been dynamite on the brakes here, oftentimes during the course of these races here.
Yeah, they have hit the setup here today for Mantella Autosport. What a great run for both of their cars in the early going.
And by the way, we were looking there and we're watching now that he's running in 2nd spot, but Anthony Mantella in that Gulf Mantella Autosport Crossbow is your Optima Batteries Best Start Award winner, up 3 spots.
Oh, look at the run he gets.
He gets another run.
Looking to the inside for the lead. Couldn't quite make it stick. That Crossbow is hooked up. Unbelievable stuff.
Strong. Gottsacker watching this here, and again, Mantella looks not close enough at that point. And Barkey is right there in 4th, so these 2 Mantella Autosport Crossbows are showing some really strong early pace. Both of them are.
Yeah, Anthony's just got to stay cool now. He's got the track position. He's got a fast race car. Just be patient. Bide your time. Looking for a late run onto that front straightaway. Trying to time the run so that the guy in front doesn't stymie your throttle application. That's what it's all about. If you've got a big advantage, don't be right up on his tail. You've got to wait for him to go.
Barkey may have had a run here as well, Cal.
Wow, those Mantella cars are flying here in the early going.
Well, I wonder, you know, we've been talking about the temps, and of this group up front, they are the lone turbo cars. And as the temperatures go up, you know, usually you would think a turbo runs so hot as the temperatures get up, it would lose effectiveness. But with these temperatures heating up, is the fact that they can still make their own atmosphere essentially maybe helping them in this case.
I think it was hot as their setup, Greg. I mean,
yeah.
We'll have to see if it fades at all. Maybe they just started with slightly elevated tire pressures to start this race. You've got to make sure you don't hit a cliff with those and go over the top. There we see in the background, I think that was Courtney maybe running off a little bit wide.
I think you're absolutely right.
Chaponic to the inside of Courtney for position.
And got through, and that was just when Courtney ran off like that, one, it dirties up your tires. And you just slow down on top of it. And he's got Mark Clennon right behind him in the battle of the Maseratis here. But Heckert hanging on at the front. But now with both Mantella and Barkey second and third, you wonder how long this is going to last.
I mean, he's doing a nice job. He's being very tidy, not making any mistakes. But you just look at the level platform. There's basically zero body roll, it seems, with that crossbow. And the Pirelli P0s are just sticking to the road. There you see Aschenbach just all over that curb. He's really gaining a huge chunk of time by doing that. Ace Stacy there, another good run here in the early going, coming off that brilliant performance at Mid-Ohio where he had a runner-up finish that day.
Yeah, Aschenbach running 6th. Stacy, who we're watching that bright green Mustang, in 8th. And right behind him is your point leader, Brett Sandberg. So we're seeing the pace from the Mantella cars. And right now, Sandberg just doesn't seem to have an answer in that Utah Motorsports crossbow.
No, it's certainly not the sort of start we were expecting from Brett Sandberg. Mantella, a good run there. A lot closer through that final corner. He's going to be closer to Heckert. He's going to pick up the draft a little bit earlier down this front straightaway. 3/4 of a mile is the length of this front straightaway there. As we're now looking at our championship leader for the time being. It's going to be awfully tight tonight the way they run. Yes. Unless he can rebound here. Oh, to the lead. Looks to the inside momentarily. Can't quite get alongside Heckert. Good job by Mantella by realizing it was going to be a risky move.
You know, the interesting thing here, we're looking at fast lap. It goes to Barkey right now at a 59.5, then Mantella, Heckert a 59.8. But with the exception of Gottsacker, who's turned a 2-minute .2. Right now, Cal, the top 9, save Gottsacker, are all within a half second in fast laps. That's how close this is. This time he just goes straight to the apex and Mantella's through.
Awesome stuff. Anthony Mantella leading in Pirelli World Challenge. Oh. Great stuff, mate. That is pretty cool. He'll be excited, but here comes Heckert. Heckert looks to the inside, almost brushes him. Barkey's now over Heckert for second.
And that may have been the one thing that really helped Mantella there was as they touched. I think there was a little graze there, and Heckert had to save it, and he knew Barkey was going to pounce, and so he didn't force the issue any more than that. But for the former snowmobile racer, I had the pleasure of announcing Anthony Mantella. We don't want to talk about how long ago, racing on snowcross on Spirit Mountain Ski Resort in Duluth, Minnesota, way back in the day. And to see him out front here in the Pirelli World Challenge, this is cool stuff.
And it's a whole new dynamic, Greg, when you're out there. You do race it, you do testing, you do the qualifying sessions out there on a running solo. But when you're leading a race, the pressure, the dynamic in your head is totally different. So now he's got the lead. He's just got to hit his marks. The car's working incredibly well. Just stay focused, Anthony.
And the neat thing here is that he was able to open up, I think, enough of a lead because there's no doubt that Heckert a little bit quicker in a straight line. We watched that down this long straight the last time, and Mantella has enough margin there that Heckert's not going to be able to eat it up, is he?
I don't think so, and that's good news because he won't have to be defending as he gets down towards the brake zone. Stop-tech brake zone coming up. He just hit his marks. Look for his turn-in point. Just hit your marks. Just click off the lap side by side. Gottsacker and Barkey for that third position.
Barkey does get down that straight well relative to Gottsacker, and Gottsacker did a nice job of putting the car right down the center of the track, kind of forced Barkey into, well, do I go in or out? Boy, I know I'm going to be slow into Sunset if I go in, so let's try the outside. It just didn't quite work.
The key is picking your line early. The driver stewards do not want you changing your line. Oh, someone's out there wide. Sure if that was Japonik.
I think it was, yeah. And here we go, Sandberg taking a run at Stacy. He's got the inside into Blackrock.
He's got to start to make some moves. Brett Sandberg has to dig deep right now.
He's through.
Next man in front of him is Aschenbach. It becomes a little bit one of the golfing terms I love to use, a bit of match play as well. If he can just beat Aschenbach, it will not be a bad day, but he can't afford with just 22-point lead for Aschenbach to take anything out of it.
There's Lawson easy up on that curb all the way through Witchcraft.
Watch this.
Now watch this, yep. Hello.
His car is saddled afterwards. His IVAC suspension is obviously working really well through there.
Yeah, it just doesn't bound around as much as we saw some of those GT cars a little bit earlier here, and that is working for him at this point.
Totally compliant, but look at this battle. Look how tight it is.
Fantastic. There's Parker. Look at this now. It's Lawson trying to get around the outside of Dolomite into windup, turn 14. Couldn't quite make that happen. And Sandberg now just trying to get a drive onto this front straight here. And you can't even see Parker Chase tucked in behind.
He's right underneath. He's going to be getting a huge draft. Camaro looks like he's built a brick wall.
Truly does.
In front of Parker Chase. Chase looks to the inside. Lawson tucks it back in. There's more entry speed than Dollarhide there into turn one.
One thing that we have seen over the years, regardless of where they've been in terms of straight line speed, those Camaros, even heavy, are awesome on the brakes, aren't they?
They are, but one thing that they do struggle with is tire degradation a little bit. They are heavy, so it obviously works those Pirelli P0s a little bit more than the lighter weight GT4 machinery that they're racing against this year. And that's another reason that Lawson Aschenbach just has to make great starts, get the track position, and try to literally hang on.
And right there, Brett Sandberg took a little bit of a run at Parker Chase coming up into Blackrock. He was on the outside. He knew he probably wasn't going to be able to do anything with it. And he had a good run again on Parker, and Parker sensed it coming, Cal, and did exactly what he needed to do. Stayed right on the exit of Blackrock, and that just totally blunted the run here by Brett Sandberg. But it did slow his entry, and it's Sandberg now trying to set something up through witchcraft.
Yeah, I think his car started to come alive, so I think that could be a tire pressure thing too. Maybe start them a little bit lower. Was going to obviously struggle, hope to get the track position early, which he didn't. But right now his car's extremely quick. A couple of laps ago laid down a 49.4, which I believe is the second fastest lap of the race, which is good news for tomorrow.
And while this is all playing out, Anthony Mantella has eased away. Last time by, 1.2. I'm guessing it's up over a second and a half. Next time by,
he's too fast. He's 2 fast laps quicker than anyone else today, Greg.
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, this is an amazing performance. As I say, there's such a different pressure when you get the lead. It's a long way to go as you're looking at the clock, of course. A long way from being over, but to take the lead, settle in, increase the lead, this is a big statement for Anthony Mantella.
And here is Sandberg now. Does he do anything with young Parker Chase down into turn one? Parker, the 15-year-old. Brett Sandberg, a pretty experienced driver, lots of starts. I think he's got him this time, Cal.
Yeah, he just rolls off the brake a little bit earlier just to make sure he establishes position. That's what it's about. Don't just keep flying down into the corner and running wide. Just get alongside, establish your position, and then just match the braking performance of the guy on the outside. That's all you need to do at that stage.
Yeah, Parker Chase now 13 starts in this championship for the 15-year-old. And you take a look at Brett Sandberg in his career in this, 55. I mean, it's a bit different. And Sandberg's been doing it for a while. And now he's trying the outside into Blackrock on the guy he's battling in the points. It was close.
It was, and I tell you what, unless Sandberg gave it up, there was going to be contact there because Aschenbach was pretty committed in terms of washing the car all the way out. That allows Sandberg to the inside. See if that was a little touch there or whether Sandberg was just over the curb, but definitely a bobble there from Sandberg as he makes the move stick.
And Parker dropped his right side tires in turn number 6 there. Thought he might be able to get back underneath. Lawson couldn't quite make it work here.
Aschenbach all over that curb and nearly loses it on the exit. He is digging deep right now. Look how much ground he gains right there by chewing over that curb.
Like you said, that just shortens that track up significantly.
Oh, it does. It's like an immediate 2-car length advantage. The key is having the ability to settle it down after the bumps. Here comes Nate Stacey looking to the inside of Parker Chase. That's probably not going to work. So Sandberg's car has definitely come alive. Mantella continues to lower the fastest lap of the race. His last time by was a 59.0. See what he does this time across. 58.8. Barkey does a 58.8 as well, 100th of a second quicker than his teammate. The Mantella Autosport Group have got their cars dialed in.
Yeah, Gottsacker a 59.1, Heckert a 59.2.
Sandberg to the inside of Dollarhide takes away the 5th position.
He just turned, Sandberg did a 59.2 as well. Dollarhide's lap, they're fast laps, but he just turned a 59.2. Sandberg, his fast lap, Dollarhide's lap, 2 minutes, 0.1.
Yeah, I think once we see clean air here for Brett Sandberg, his car has definitely come alive. I'd be curious to see what sort of lap time he can run compared to our leader right now.
Man, that margin right now, Mantella back to Heckert, first and second, 2 seconds even. Then another little chunk of time, half a second back to Gottsacker.
Maybe if he needs to maintain focus, Anthony Mantella can just work on his splits, work on his lap times, just keep clicking away the minutes on this 50-minute time race.
And we are 15 minutes into this, so there's lots of race time left in this one, and everybody just has to continue to keep their focus right now. There's a look at Anthony working around, staying well off that curb, as do these guys. They just touch the side of it just a little bit. Harry Gottsacker now is really starting to mount an attack again on Heckert.
Yeah, he's come back at him a little bit. Barkey's just hanging tough. Mantella seems to be continuing to stretch this lead just a little bit, but I think this is going to be a telling mark. Once we see Brett Sandberg cross the stripe, see what a sort of pace he has on a relatively clear lap. Yes, he had to pass Dollarheight down into turn 1, so that may have compromised his speed just a little bit for that lap, but this will be a true indicator of what sort of pace our championship leader has.
You know, I know that Stacy is running a little bit farther back in the pack in 9th right now. When you put it in relative terms, and he's running one of those big Ford V8 powered GTS cars, he out-qualified Lawson Aschenbach. I mean, you know, yes, it was for 9th and 10th, but when you've done that, that's pretty special.
Mantella just dropped it to a 58.68. Guess what? Sandberg, a 58.63. Fastest car on the racetrack, our championship leader, and he's up into the top 5.
Look at this. Stacy down underneath Lawson Aschenbach.
Bad news for Aschenbach. Yeah, drops another spot, and he's looking up ahead. The guy's chasing in the points well. He's eating into his competitors up ahead. It wouldn't surprise me to see Sandberg catch this group in front of him before we see the checkered flag here this afternoon.
Here's a look at that Lotus Evora from Scott Dullaheit's racing team. Came in here and had a lot of great expectations, and one of the sessions was incredibly quick in practice, and another session way near the back. They've just had some struggles with consistency in every session in that car.
What's impressive is with these Pirelli P0s, the fact that they can continue to lower the lap times in pretty torturous conditions out here. Really hot day. Just as the fuel load is going away, the car's getting quicker and quicker, and the tire performance is staying right there.
Up and through the attitudes. Interesting, Nate Stacy just set the fastest first sector of this race so far. So he certainly is putting together some really strong pace here. But Mantella continues to keep that margin. It's pushing 3 seconds now.
Yeah, just an incredible job. Long way to go, but just keep hitting his marks, looking at his lap times.
Well, there's a shot. You see the Nissan of Vesko Kozarov in pit lane. Jeff, what's going on?
Yeah, the local favorite who won last year in the GTS category in this Nissan 370Z. Unfortunately, the race is done. Car came down, no power. They think it's terminal.
Unfortunately, yeah, he's out of the car. You can see that. That's a tough break for a guy who loves racing here. Last year he had a GTS win and 3 touring car wins, so the guy knows how to get it done here. But you just can't fight mechanical gremlins sometimes.
Well, he had that dynamite start. He suddenly just leapt out from the pack as we went to green. So he's always on fire. He's a great racer. Good personality to have in the paddock.
Look at this, Martin Barkey around on Harry Gottsacker now for 3rd, and that battle and pass has allowed Heckert to have a little bit of a margin here, but Barkey fought hard and figured a way around Gottsacker.
Yeah, and I thought Gottsacker was going to have another run at him down into the hairpin turn, but Barkey immediately covered that, and that's okay. You can't be reactive, but he was proactive in adjusting his line into the brake zone. Sandberg continues to chip away at these guys in front of him in terms of the gap. About half a second quicker than Gottsacker and Barkey on the last lap. Mantella, though, just continues to keep pummeling out these mid-58 second range laps. 158.7 on the last lap compares to his best lap of 158.68.
His consistency is remarkable. You know, the problem is you had, you know, that 58.8, a good lap by Barkey, but now he's running in the mid 59s. Brett Sandberg uncorked that very quick 158.6, but the last lap of 150. Oh, and Tony Gaples has pulled off course, and you talked about it, Cal. They had a problem; they couldn't even get out in qualifying, and it's just been a troubled weekend for Tony Gaples.
Yeah, very unusual for that group to have sort of mechanical gremlins like this. They'll try and bounce back for tomorrow. Their bigger concern, I would believe, is the fact that Lawson Aschenbach, their guy who's really in the championship chase, is struggling now in the lower part of the top 10.
Oh boy, and a full course caution has just been called. So that big lead Mantella had is going to go away, but it's interesting here. It'll allow Lawson to cool tires off. We'll see what happens. Sandberg speed, this whole pack is going to compress when we go back, and I would think it should be a fairly quick yellow flag here in recovery.
Yeah, he's just kind of stranded there in a potential danger zone. It should be cleaned up relatively quickly, and then we'll have a nice little reset here. Yep. We'll rub our hands, Greg, and get ready to call some restart action.
Safety team already, or the track team is already there, looking for what to hook up to try and get Tony off the track as our Cadillac pace car leads this field through at this stage. And you know, right before that caution came out, I've been looking at it, Sandberg was within 2 seconds of Harry Gottsacker. He'd run down that margin just a little bit. But the interesting thing here is that when you've got a car that 5, 6, 7, 8 laps into the race really starts to come alive, then you have a caution. That's not the best thing in the world. Even if it gets you closer to the guy you're chasing, you may lose more than that when you go back racing.
Yeah, it's a great point in terms of everything cooling down a little bit. We'll have to see how Brett's car responds to that situation. But he had a great momentum, great run going up into the top 5. A couple of seconds behind Gottsacker, and then there's a little bunch there of Heckert, Barkey, and Gottsacker. Maybe Brett Sandberg, our championship leader, could have eaten into some of those positions, got on the podium. So we'll see. He's going to be closer. That's the good news. The bad news is if his car seems to be stronger on the longer runs, he's going to lose that advantage.
And let's see here. We got, so it's Mantella, Heckert, Barkey, then Gottsacker and Sandberg at this stage. Dullahite, Stacy, Chase, Aschenbach, and Chaponic. That's your top 10. And right now we have Courtney and Clennon outside of the top 10. We've seen them racing. We saw Courtney going for a win, just ran out of time at Road America. Clearly this track doesn't suit that Maserati as well.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. I mean, it's got that longer wheelbase. It really seems to work well on long-duration corners, which you do have a few off here, but you've also got to change direction, and that's going to be the compromise with the long wheelbase car. It's going to be a little bit more sluggish or lazy in terms of that change of direction, which you need here as well.
Just got word from the pit lane. It was a drive belt of some sort on Tony Gapel's car.
A long night for those boys. I have to think there might be an engine change needed.
You'd think, yep. And notice lights out on the pace car, so we should be going back racing here. Again, a nice job getting that car cleared, and I'm sure Tony, he's experienced, just said, just move it off to the side. Let's let these guys race.
Yeah, let's see what Anthony Mantella does here. How does he handle this restart? He's pretty close to the pace car. Normally the leader will back off by this stage. Pace car ducks off pretty quickly, though.
Into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, and he rolls into the throttle right there. But for Heckert, he was close.
He slowed up. Anthony stacked up.
Yeah.
That was almost carnage.
Yep, that was a great reaction by Heckert, but it has allowed others to come streaming through. And unfortunately for Mantella, the officials are going to be looking at that because that is expressly verboten once you start to accelerate. But boy, did it give an opportunity to Gottsacker, Barkey here.
Sandberg down to the inside. Great move by Sandberg. Stacy, the meat in a sandwich there with Dullahite. And Heckert has really just gone backwards here on this restart.
Boy, he's just getting swallowed up. And what an opportunistic move by Sandberg. Stacy trying to do it, but Dullahite too.
Look at this. Here comes Gottsacker for the lead on Anthony Mantella. Sandberg's going to come with him. Down into the Black Rock hairpin. Sandberg thinks about the lead.
I was thinking that too.
Mantella sticks it to the outside. He's probably going to maintain second.
Sandberg just going to drag race him here, but those are two fairly equally powered cars as they head in, since they're basically the same car, and finally has to give way at this point. But boy, what a great restart by Dullahite too.
Yeah, that was awesome stuff. Stacy's had a good restart here as well. Back up in the thick of things.
Heckert just got swallowed up. I mean, he's way back at this stage, 7th, 8th, thereabouts.
Okay, Anthony Mantella, can you regroup here? You got a fast car, the fastest car in this race so far today. He's going to feel pressure from behind from our championship leader. Let's take another look at this. He just stacks everyone up. This really hurts Heckert as everyone else gets a run to his inside. And the key was he kind of went through that apex of the final corner, and then he kind of stacked everyone up, and There was nearly contact between the top 4 cars.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Heckert's brake lights he just hammered him. He had to. And there was the move by Stacy when he just transitioned and opened it up a little bit. And that has given him a great restart. But here we go onto the front straight. It is Gottsacker leading. Mantella second, a little bit of a gap to Sandberg in that black and green machine. Then the black and gold Lotus. Then Nate Stacy. And behind him, Parker Chase.
Here comes Mantella, tucks it to the inside. Can he take the lead for the second time here today?
If he gets it woed down, he's got it. And
he is
no
hooked
problem.
up.
Yeah, that thing is just sticking in.
Wow. That is dominance right there. Takes it in really late and still holds the line through that first corner.
Here's the turn 4, this quick kink. And then into Blackrock here, and he's got enough of a margin, nobody's going to attack. However, Sandberg has now come right up onto the back of Gottsacker.
Oschenbach in the 7th position. Talking about our championship contenders. So you got Sandberg in 3rd, Oschenbach in 7th, Parker Chase in 6th, Nate Stacy in 5th. So our top 4 in the points are very much in the thick of this battle today.
And Heckert right now, second after leading early on, ran second for a lot of it, and Cal, he sits in 8th.
Yeah, that was just an awful
Yeah.
first lap after the restart there. Got stymied when everyone stacked back up. Everyone got to the inside of him. He may have got pushed loose, got out in the dirt, dirty tires, and have to see if he can rebound here. He's done some late race charges before this season, Greg.
Yeah, he's come from virtually dead last on the field up into podium contention a couple of times, so he knows how to get it done. And as that fuel burns off, these lighter GT4 cars just become so responsive, but pretty impressive at this stage what we're seeing from Anthony Mantella. But Max Riddle, who has been such a force in GTS during the course of the season, Jeff, big problems.
They bring down his Aston Martin here to pit lane. The crew is checking the suspension again. These problems continue. If you'll remember, Greg, during the Sprint X race earlier today, they had suspension problems as well, and they still cannot find what the problem is.
And again, that just becomes, obviously, Cal, a safety issue. When you've got something like that, you don't want to be somewhere in a very fast corner. And you can see he's got a little damage to that left front, too, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's not been a happy day for those guys. Very strong start to the Sprint X race. Then he brought the car in, turned it over to Chris Wilson. Immediate problem. The crew actually checked that left front corner before Chris went out on the racetrack. And Chris said, no, undrivable. They used it as a test station to try and fix the car, but obviously didn't find the solution. Here comes Sandberg looking to the inside, takes it in really deep. Godsacker's going to fight him hard for it. Got to be careful here, Brett. Think of the big picture.
He did right there, didn't he? He just checked it up a little bit, tucked back behind. Didn't want to risk damaging that car. The interesting thing, Martin Barkey, another driver who, along with Heckert, Cal, have been running right at the sharp end of things. Barkey has dropped back to 9th after that restart.
Yeah, and I think for Lawson Oschenbach, we talk about damage control. He's in the 7th position. He's had a good restart here, but you got Heckert and Barkey who have a lot more speed than him right behind him. It's going to be tough for him to hang on to that spot.
Meanwhile, Mantella continues to just stretch that margin a little bit. There's Gottsacker working that curve pretty good. And then Sandberg got a little bit of a gap to Stacy. Look at
that.
this.
There's Heckert. That's one of those positions I was talking about.
Yep.
Now we see Chase go after Dollarhide.
See if he's able to get it done. No, Dullahide able to cable more speed.
Oschenbach comes back at Heckert.
Wow, great
what a
sequence.
battle. And look at this. Talk about defensive. You can't take that lane away, though.
Well, that's the experience of Lawson. He knows the rule, for starters, about you can't do anything in response to somebody's move, but you can do what you want, any line you want out of a turn, and he just puts that Camaro exactly where the others want to go. Brilliant.
He's had some long races this year. I think these next 20 minutes plus are going to be awfully tough to hang on to that 7th spot.
And he got up in that exit curve pretty good and loosened that car up, Cal, and I think he's got Heckert going to go by. We'll see if Barkey is able to just drive by him as well here. Lawson trying to dissuade that.
Well, I mean, I spoke to him a few hours ago, and he just said, you know, when the crossbow's as quick as me down the straightaway, okay, I got compliancy over the curves, but that's my only asset there, because he said the crossbow is so good through the corners and also is really good on tire degradation. So kind of in a losing battle here, and we're seeing it right now as he drops back to that 8th position.
Heckert through, and Barkey going to attack on him right now. And up front of them, you see Parker Chase still trying everything he can to get around Dullahite. Looks again into Blackrock, just not quite close enough.
I think they'll be disappointed with this for Parker Chase. Certainly Gottsacker's in the mix, running in the second position.
Yep.
But for Parker Chase, who came into this round of the championship still in the third spot in points, he needed a big day and didn't have a good first lap. And who's that? Barkey's off.
Looks like, yep.
So he's
off,
trying to make
off.
a move on Oschenbach potentially. I'm not sure if there was contact or not.
He's just trying to get that car back onto track somewhere here. He's got damage to that right front, Cal. Pretty significant.
Yeah, I wonder if there was contact between Oschenbach, Heckert, and Barkey, all very close company.
So he gets it back on track here, but now he's just going to have to carefully bring it around into the pit lane. The piece just fell off, too, and a couple more on the track. And that one is right in the line here, so you know the workers, the course marshals here, are going to be waving those surface flags. Just says there's a change in the surface here. Look at this. Chase trying to figure out a way through, and he's got to now because once Heckert got through, he's flying.
Well, I see Oschenbach has dropped behind Courtney right now, so you'd have to assume that maybe Oschenbach was involved in that moment with Martin Barkey.
Go down that long straight once again. Dullahite here just poking his nose out as Parker, and right behind him is Heckert. And as you said, back a bit is Courtney. Oh, and look at that move. Dullahite just got in too hot.
And Parker Chase takes advantage. Heckert goes with him. Oh, Sandberg. He's got around Gottsacker for the second position. Huge day, point-wise. Wasn't a great start. Didn't look good for Brett Sandberg after lap one. But Oschenbach now in the 9th position, potentially with a wounded car. I believe there had to have been contact between he and Barkey. And Sandberg now up into the 2nd position, trying to chase after Anthony Mantella, who continues to lead very impressively.
Yeah, he just seems to be able to cover things. Whatever he needs to do, he's able to do here, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's just dominant. I mean, when you saw him make the move on the brakes late down in our stop tech brake zone and then just hold the radius through the corner, accelerate away.
Let's get down to Jeff. Damage.
Little damage here to the right front. They rip out the inner fender liner. You see the right front there. They got some tape here to try to do. The team is going to check the right front suspension, make sure there's nothing wrong there, trying to get the tire off. But little bit of damage to the right front of Martin Barkey's car.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff. This is going to be a long stop. This is going to be frustrating for Martin because he also had some good speed here. It looks like they feel what was inside in terms of suspension not damaged. You can get him back out here.
Yeah, they're just going to make sure that the car is safe. So the mechanic have a good look inside the wheel well, add all of the front suspension there. Determined that he feels it's okay, but Martin will certainly go out there, do a slow lap just to make sure he's okay. But he's essentially going down a lap here.
So Mantella leads it here over Sandberg by 3 seconds at this stage. Gottsacker another second back. Stacy a couple more seconds adrift, a couple more back. Parker Chase, Heckert, and Dullahite. It looks like that car is just now struggling for a little bit of grip, and you can see Courtney's closing in at this stage. Boy, but Mantella has just dropped the hammer again.
Just running perfect lines, not making mistakes, don't see any tiny errors. The lap times are telling us that as well. His last lap, the only guy in the 158 range, admittedly, just inside a 158.989. Sandberg chasing a 59.13. So, again, he's extending the lead a little bit, even though Sandberg has assumed that second position.
And now, Sandberg's got some thinking to do, huh?
Well, he's going to keep digging deep. I mean, he's got to keep pushing. We've got 15 minutes left. That's not to say that the tire degradation couldn't kick in on one of these cars or the other, so he's going to keep forcing the issue. And again, it's never over till it's over, particularly when you're potentially going to win your first World Challenge event, Greg. That's going to be playing inside Anthony Mantella's right to the last lap when we see the checkered flag.
Absolutely, and Sandberg, but I guess what I was getting at was if he gets to him and it gets to be an incredibly intense race with a lot of risk, you're not going to try and overly force the issue when you know Lawson's sitting back there ninth.
You should not. And I think Brent is pretty savvy. Brett is pretty savvy, so he's going to be thinking of that. But he's a racer. He wants wins. I mean, it's been a great championship year, but there's nothing like victories. But this is a big day to extend that points gap over Lawson with time running out.
Yeah, we're coming up on our final 15 minutes here. And so Mantella, boy, he is flying. It's almost like he's just turned the old phrase, turn the mirrors down, and is just driving everything he can right now. And he certainly continues to turn some impressive laps relative to everybody else.
Yeah, just sees whatever anyone throws at him. He seems to have a couple of tenths in hand. And that's good. He just needs to use that lap time as his guide, keeping him focused. I'm sure the team is on the radio, talking him through this. Just a stunning performance here today. Certainly there was an indicator in qualifying when he and Martin Barkey were only 2 to 3 tenths off the pole position. They've had speed here, but in race trim, they've been in a different league.
Yeah, the engineering staff of that team has come up with something special for that car. It's fantastic. I really think we need to give a shout out. As you can see, Tony Gaples, they got whatever it was fixed and back out and running. So apparently, we were thinking it might be a long night, and the team able to effect a very quick change. But when you consider the problems that Aschenbach's having here, I was just going to say we have to give a shout out to Nate Stacy, who has been superb, and suddenly that car had a crawl.
Wow,
he was fourth
in the points.
And when you
fourth on the road
in the race, you look at Aschenbach in ninth. Another tremendous drive by the 16-year-old. In a car that just is too heavy, shouldn't last this long, shouldn't go this fast, and he keeps finding that kind of speed, and now he's just trying to limp it into pits.
Yeah, Steen Martin has done a brilliant job with young Nate in terms of tutoring him, helping him with his racecraft and management of the tires. I mean, it was all about sideways and spectacular and raw speed at the beginning of the year, but that performance he put in at Mid-Ohio, not only in finishing in second position, Greg, but as we said at the time, the way the car was handling at the end was a keen indicator as to what he was doing behind the wheel. Yeah,
he's gone to school and has passed with flying colors. He's been very impressive and not going to be able to make it apparently back into the pits. And I think he's just trying to find a spot where he can park it and not affect this race with a caution. And that's certainly what Anthony Mantella would like to see. He's got a nice little margin built up here at this stage.
Yeah, last lap, pretty much identical times between Mantella and Sandberg, just 3/100ths of a second with Mantella marginally quicker.
Ooh,
Gottsaka there throwing it through that corner.
Absolutely flat sliding it. And I just saw in the background too, Jeff Courtney is in monster attack mode on Dolomite too for that position back in the 6th spot right now. So got some fun stuff unfolding a variety of spots around the track. Here comes Heckert. He's continuing to go after Chase. And look at that, Courtney got Dolomite. I seen him. Yeah, I watched him just in the background. He was right on his rear wing, and he was able to get through. Courtney's just been really strong at the end of races, hasn't he?
He really has. He's put in some tremendous performances this year, and I spoke to him at the last round about that great run that he had at Road America, and he was disappointed. He said, I should have won that race. He said, we have the speed. We tested there. We were good. It's a track I know and love, and he said, I wanted to win. So, these guys aren't just out there to be happy with top fives and podiums. There's guys out there with the mentality, I want to win races, and Jeff Courtney's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's been a lot of fun too, and he's been around a long time. He's one of the true gentlemen in the paddock.
Yeah, he's a great man, and his teams run very, very well. You go over to their paddock area; it's immaculate. Car is very well turned out, so that's a credit to his crew.
By the way, getting a report from Jeff in the pit lane. The problem for Stacy, transmission. So
that's too bad. It's really too bad because that's really going to hurt him point-wise.
Yeah.
Past the 50% mark, so he'll score points here today. It was certainly not the big points he was looking at getting. 4th place pace, 84 points, and he's going to plummet down the order now and probably lose a good 30-40 points in comparison to what he should have had today.
Meanwhile, watching this battle, Heckert trying to figure out a way around Parker Chase, and Parker just hasn't given him any opportunity. A couple of times Heckert's gotten close, Cal. He just hasn't been able to get, wiggle there by Parker, though.
Yeah, he was really wide out in the marbles. Heckert will like seeing that. That'll give him some inspiration.
Gottsacker, he just turned a 59.5. That's the fastest lap of anybody on that last lap. So Gottsacker's not exactly giving it up.
Well, he's not going away, is he? Sandberg only has 1.2 seconds on him as this battle is intensifying between Parker Chase and Scott Heckert for the 4th place on the road.
There's that margin you were just talking about from second spot, point leader Brett Sandberg back to Harry Gottsacker. This is a nice day for Harry. I mean, Parker's kind of gotten most of the accolades here, running strong in the points championship and the like. But Harry's been really focusing when it comes to a conflict on the global rallycross. He's really come alive on the road course here now.
Oh, he's doing a great job. There's just so many talented young drivers in our championship. It's like every week we're putting the spotlight on someone else because each weekend someone else steps up to the plate.
Sandberg is starting to run some laps here, and looks like he's closing it up. Not a lot, but a little bit on Mantella here. But, of course, Anthony's talking to his crew, and they're probably letting him know, we're into the final 10 at this stage. Just keep consistent.
This will tell a tale. Last time across there, the lap times have increased to just under the 2-minute mark, 59.8 for the 2 leaders. Mantella brings that back down to a 59.4. Sandberg a 10th quicker.
So not a huge change here. Looking back in the order just a little bit, here's the number 62, Mark Clennon, and the Mike Ward Maserati, Premier Copy, and Champ Automotive Machine. And he's had some pretty good speed at events this year. He just hasn't really been able to get that deal closed at this point. And he sure loves driving this Maserati. He's made the point a couple of times. He goes, once I figured it out, this car is just a blast.
Yeah, it is. Had a couple of suspension issues in the last 2 events on the championship trail, which have hurt his ability to score some big points. But he's got a nice little battle going on here today. Great to see Dory Chaponic back in the championship. The Answer team certainly put out some great race cars. Oh, Clennon in there really deep. Saw the tire smoke. A little bit sideways, locking him up.
Right now, he and Mantella are sort of tied for our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award, both of them gaining 5 spots. The tiebreaker, I believe, is highest finish. I have to clarify that. And that, of course, at this stage would go to Mantella, but still in all, not a bad day for Mark.
No, it's been a strong run. If you look at Mantella, Sandberg in the background, it's just been so clean. I mean, he hasn't been abusing curbs. He hasn't been making mistakes. And this is a standout performance, a breakout performance for Anthony Mantella if he can continue to roll like he is right now.
Good, solid second, doing exactly what he needs to hang on to here.
Looking at the point swing, second place pays 98 points. Archibald sits in the 8th position, 68 points. So we're looking at a potential 30-point gain for Brett Sandberg. Doesn't sound like a lot, but he only had 22-point lead coming in, so that is huge. Possibly the biggest lead or separation between these two guys over the second half of the season. Time across the stripe, Sandberg took out half a second on Anthony Mantella, and that's significant, Greg. It's now under 3 seconds, and I tell you what, for Anthony Mantella, we keep talking about the psyche of a driver going for that first victory. If he suddenly sees that bright green crossbow getting ever closer during these final 3 or 4 laps, that may start to get into his head. We'll have to see how it plays out. Can he respond here?
It's going to be interesting, and Heckert has not given up at this stage on getting around Parker for that 4th spot, but every time he gets a run like this, Parker just seems to find a little something, and he's away.
Oh, he's wide there. Heckert's going to gain a little bit of ground on him.
And now Mantella. Ooh, Heckert this time? Nope, not going to get it done. And Mantella is now coming up on the back of Gaples, so a little bit of traffic late in the going here. We'll see how that plays out, but this battle just remains pretty compelling, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a great battle.
Ooh, he's got the
Heckert's a good, clean racer, though. I like the way he races. You know, he's really learning his craft on road courses this year. I mean, he's had success before in various categories on the road courses, but this is really his first full crack at it. And really impressive driver. When he can go head-to-head with guys like Jade Buford, who's obviously missing this round after the accident damage at Mid-Ohio, that's a big statement.
Yep.
That's really making a statement about the boy's ability.
Yeah, he's been a great addition. There's been no question. And as you said, I mean, he doesn't matter where he is on the track. He usually finds a way to end up giving it a go for the podium here, and he has. Let's see what the margin, 2.7 last time, Cal. What does it end up this time as Mantella comes down? Boy, he is coming.
0.7. That's about 3/4 of a second for 2 laps in a row.
And
So we're
just
going to
under 10 left.
Yeah,
Excuse me, under 5 minutes left. Sorry about that.
No problem. 3 laps essentially.
Boy, and here's Clennon again, just hanging on over Dora Japonik in that 9th spot. By the way, Clennon's wife, Jamie, very, very involved with a company that she's created called Racing for Paws, and it's a company that raises funds for pet rescue. And she's working with one here called Perfect Paw Prints, and she's been just great. Now watch what happened here.
Yeah, Clennon's just off, out of sync, as we call it, coming through the attitudes.
Got behind in the steering.
Let's take a look here. Dory, a little love tap. That was nice.
And, yeah, just tapped him, but not enough to even knock him off line a little bit. That's probably his message saying, ooh, lock it.
Clennon is having problems down there in our stop tech brake zone a couple of times over the last 5 minutes, but look at this battle. Chase on the defense to Scott Heckert. Heckert now tries to tuck it to the inside. Loses a bit of ground.
Yep, out of turn 4, heading into the corner called Witchcraft once again. I think we got, what, a couple of laps probably to go here, Cal?
Yeah, it should be 2 more once they hit the stripe. So for Anthony Mantella, he'll complete this lap, then the following lap, it should be the white flag for our leader. The key is going to be, what is the gap? It was down to 2.1 seconds between Mantella and Sandberger. Sandberger's really eaten into that lead, and he's getting close.
He is.
Look at this.
Well, we saw, obviously, Mantella was just throwing down laps. He kept running some very, very quick laps, and you wonder maybe he didn't just use up too much, but he drops to a 159.2, Sandberger to 159.1.
So there's not much there, just a 1/10 of a second. That's the good news for Anthony Mantella. 2-second lead, 2 laps to go.
Down into Sunset Bend, turn 1 here, and it's going to be interesting to see when Mantella gets to the back of Tony Gaples. Tony's a pretty experienced driver.
But again, he's just got to be cool. He's got to hopefully hit him in the right part where he's got the momentum just to clear him easily. Tony's such a veteran, I'm sure he'll be on the radio with his team. The team will make him aware that's the leader coming up behind you right now.
There's the point. There was the point. You can see a class act by Tony.
Hopefully Sandberg can do it as well. Yeah, Tony slows way down. Nice job, Tony Gaples, being respectful to our leaders right now. So it's settled down, but even so, Anthony Mantella trying to bring home his first victory. He's got a lap and a half to go. Sandberg's been there. He's done it before. But so far today, I have not seen Anthony Mantella put a foot wrong. Obviously lost that opening restart in terms of that first lap following us going back to green. But he didn't panic, Greg. He didn't fight too hard. Just realized he had a good, strong car and came back at Harry Gottsager, got the lead, and then stretched it again.
Great corner here. This final couple of corners, and we're looking at white flag this time by Cal. And it looks as though Sandberg's a little bit closer.
Yes.
But not by a huge chunk once again.
No. And through wind up there, it looked like Mantella was a little bit wide. Yeah, loses a couple of tenths to Sandberg. But still got a 1.8 second lead with 1 lap to go.
And there is your battle for the, Chase and Heckert both got by Gottsager.
Yeah, Gottsager's had a problem.
Yeah.
Gottsager has disappeared here on this last lap. So this is the final podium spot that these two guys are fighting out for. Chase deep on the brakes. There's Gottsager.
So the question is, we were just watching into turn one. What's happened here with that battle for the lead? And Parker able to, or battle for third, I should say. Parker able to hang on to it. But I thought Heckert might just be able to sweep the outside there to turn one.
I think there's going to be a bit of added intensity here. It's one thing when it's for fourth, when it's for third in a podium run, he's going to give it everything he's got.
Now he's trying to just figure out, is he going to try the over-under here?
Can he tuck it back in?
Yeah.
Can he get the power down? No, he needs the road as well to release the steering and get the power down.
Now into this very tight, decreasing radius, turn 4.
Parker chased a good little race. I think it's going to be hard for Heckert to steal that final podium spot away, but he's going to keep digging.
Well, the thing is, Cal, Parker is able to use some of that curb in that second attitude, and it gives him a couple of car lengths. And we'll see if that plays out here. But meanwhile, here it is. The 2 KTM crossbows, one from Mantella Autosport with Anthony Mantella at the wheel, the Gulf liveried machine leading, going for his first ever Pirelli World Challenge win in his rookie season. And points leader Brett Sandberg sitting second in the Utah Motorsports crossbow. And Mantella, right at this stage, Cal, he can pretty much almost coast to the line. KTM, Mantella Autosport, and Anthony Mantella get the win here at Utah Motorsports Campus. There is that team. They knew they were capable of it. They've been waiting for it, and it comes to fruition. What a great day for them. And here's that battle for that final podium spot. And Parker Chase had just enough left here, was able to hang on to it, Cal.
Awesome battles throughout the field, but what a job by Anthony Mantella. This is just incredible. I mean, he's been knocking on the door in terms of raw pace this year, but to get his first podium and make it a win, great job.
Yes, it's going to be a very, very special victory lap here, I think, for this guy. He's just exuberant in life generally anyway.
The good news is, fast lap.
Yep.
He's going to start from pole tomorrow.
And fast lap by over Sandberg, so it should be Mantella and Sandberg, right, up front?
I think so.
Yeah.
Barkey had a 58.8, so it's going to be another Mantella Autosport car on the second row of the grid. Looking at Aschenbach's times, he's going to be deep in the pack again. A lot of work to do. Not been a great weekend for Lawson Aschenbach, finishing 7th today.
Yeah. Pretty impressive run here. So, of course, we've got the specialty awards, too. We'll be talking about them in just a moment. I don't think there's any question, though, on that Motul Pole Award. That will go to Mantella. What a wonderful day for him.
Oh, he's going to be so stoked. He'll be leaping out of that car, bouncing off the walls. Well, I say that. He's kind of driven to me. I hate to say a little bit out of character, because he's been so smooth, so precise, and didn't make one mistake. So maybe he'll just get out of the car like, no big deal.
Nice and serene.
Total zen.
It was a zen win right there. There is the number 62 of Mark Clennon, and he was able to pick up one more spot. That gives him the VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award, up 6 spots from where he started back in 14. So a great day for him. Congratulations to little Marky Clennon, and I told him I'd work that in at some point here, and obviously he'll get wind of that certainly. But here comes Mantella down into the pits. And, of course, Jeff Lepper's going to be waiting there for him. What did we decide was the turning point?
This is going to be a sweet moment for Anthony Mantella and that whole group. I mean, they've worked so hard. At one point, it looked like Anthony may curtail his racing season. And they've regrouped. They've rebounded, continued to massage on those cars, understand them even better. Great engineering group over there, led by Andrew, his engineer and team manager, essentially.
By the way, the Cadillac move of the race is Mantella's move to the lead originally. Keep in mind where he started when this one got underway, sitting in 6th. He quickly went up to the front, got the lead. That's the move of the race. And the key at turning point, Cal, has to be that contact between the 80 of Martin Barkey and Lawson Aschenbach, because it affected Lawson, no question about it. And it really helped out Brett Sandberg. So it was more of a points moment than anything else. But look at the emotion here. Mantella, Look at that. They have been waiting for this one. That is some special stuff indeed. And I see Jeff down there. So as soon as Anthony gets that helmet off, we'll be able to have a chat with him. And once again, Mantella will start on pole. He gets the Moto2 Pole Award, Fast Lap Award for this one, which will turn into the Moto2 Pole Award for the race tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a great capper to everything, to know that you're going to sleep on this win tonight, come back tomorrow. Hopefully the track won't change too much. Put some fresh rubber on there and go do it again.
Absolutely. By the way, we did get confirmation that the tiebreaker for whenever it is the best start award even is highest finisher, and that's Anthony Mantella. So Jeff Lepper, lots of accolades right now for Anthony Mantella, but the one that means the most is win number 1 in his rookie season.
Well, Greg Creamer said he called you in Snowcross. You've come a long way now for your first pro win in your rookie season.
Yes, sir. It's such a pleasure to race here. You know, we were talking about it last night with management. We're not going anywhere. This is where it's at. I got a pro driver on my tail. He was coming. The track conditions were, spectacular today. And it's my first pro win. And, as soon as I crossed that finish line, I had tears in my eyes, thinking about everybody that helped me get here. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, very emotional down here for Mantella Autosport, but how about it? First pro race win.
Absolutely, Jeff. And he said the track conditions are great today. I think the setup was great today. And he just absolutely extracted everything out of it, Cal. Brings home the win.
It was amazing. I mean, just great to watch, fun to watch, big smile on my face because they've come so far this season. Sandberg, a great run for him to be that deep in the pack. I think he's down about 10th on that opening lap.
Yep.
Just great poise, getting the big points again over Lawson Oschenbach, who's obviously chasing him in the points right now.
Big point swing, yeah. Parker Chase completes the podium, and he had to fend off a relentless Scott Heckert, so nice job for that. But, Cal, you were talking about it, just how important that second place is to Brett Sandberg. Well, Jeff, ask him that question.
Second place today got to be a great points day for you.
Yeah, for sure. These guys did a really good job in changing a few things up on the car. It's really helped us out where we struggled a bit in qualifying. So, it was a tough race. I got shuffled all the way back to I don't really know where at the start there, and we just had to kind of mind our pace and work our way back up front. So, overall, great points day, and can't be happier.
Yeah, smiles down here. Probably the happiest second place finish he'll have.
You bet, because it might be a second-place finich on the track, but it might help bring home a championship. So that's the big-picture perspective.
Yeah, big day. I mean, Parker Chase, another nice podium here. He needed that. At one point, it looked like it was going to go away. Shame for Harry Gottsegger. He had a great run going. Not sure what happened there in terms of pulling off late in the going for the other Ginetta.
Well, that's going to wrap up our coverage here on our World Challenge, Pirelli World Challenge Global Web Stream. Thank you much for joining us for what was a very, very busy day of racing. And you know what, folks? It's just about as busy tomorrow. We hope you'll come back and join us here for our global web feed, our live coverage of these races. And it all starts at about 11 tomorrow morning, as we will have the second of the doubleheaders for this very class, GTS. You're not going to want to miss that one. Then right after the lunch break, we will have the second of our featured class, the GT, GTA, and GT Cup races. And then, of course, we will end it with the second of the Sprint X races. And with a small field, that proved to be a very entertaining race. So make sure and tune in with us tomorrow here. And, of course, the times I'm giving you, all local time, that's Mountain Time. So be with us, be ready to go. About 10:45 Mountain Time. You do the math. And for Cal and for Jeff, and a very busy day here, thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a lot of fun tonight, whatever you do.